Well, good afternoon and welcome to our new knowledge session today. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and we've been partnering with this program for over 10 years. This program is brought to you by the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, Virginia Highland Small Business Incubator, the town of Abington, and Virginia Community Capital. The objective is to provide resources and training to our entrepreneurs, not only in Southwest Virginia, but since we've been doing this for over 10 years, we have gained in our reach. And so wherever you're at, we welcome you and thanks for coming. Today's session is being recorded for training and educational purposes. But before we get started, I wanted to let you know that we do have everyone muted and your cameras off. But however, this is a workshop and we want you to learn new tips. So if you have a question for our speaker, if you will post those in the Q&A section, we will address those at the end of the session. Today, we have someone new to our new knowledge speaker series. Seth Ritchie is the Director of Sales and Marketing with the Hampton Inn in Abington. I'm excited and anxious to learn about Adobe Creative Cloud Express from Seth. I do a lot of development of workshops and content myself, and whenever I can learn something new, I'll always take advantage of it. So, Seth, I will turn it over to you, and please tell our viewers about what you do, and also don't forget about Abington's newest hotel. Share with about the Hampton Inn in Abington.
Sure. Thanks, Sandy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Seth Ritchie. I'm, again, the Director of Sales and Marketing. The closest property to you in Abington is the Hampton Inn. I work for the hospitality group that runs. We've got several different hotels in our portfolio. So hospitality marketing. So I control a lot of the setting of rates. That's kind of my day-to-day. And then kind of projecting what kind of traffic we're going to have, what kind of occupancy we're going to have. Really, it's a kind of a game of gambling where we guess at rates and to try to project that. That's the first half, and then the second half of my day is keeping up with all of our social media. We have different campaigns. We like to market in places like hotels. Where hotels are needed. For example, if you go to JMH, you may look at their screens and you're going to see ads running for this property. We have a really big presence in Lexington. So Lexington Med Center, you're going to see it for UK sporting events. We make sure that we're really active with Emory and Henry and King for their sporting events. It's a lot of content that goes out, and so having a lot of tools is really important. That being said, we'll kind of dive into what is Adobe Express. So Express is kind of a separate term from what is the Adobe family, and I have a really good feeling that a lot of people in here probably are really familiar with Canva. I've used Canva for a long time now. And just recently, about 2 months ago, I've started using it a lot more, but you're going to see that there is some incredible crossover. In fact, Express was really created to combat Canva. When you get into the overall family of Creative Cloud, there's a learning curve. There's a lot of different apps that do a lot of different things. And there's not a lot of crossover. So looking at those app families, you may have a photo that needs to be doctored. So you do that in Photoshop, but then you want to add it into, some kind of illustration. So you do that in Illustrator. And then you'd want to put it all in maybe some kind of write-up or, either a media form or print form, and then you'd have to do that in design. So there's a lot of different moving parts, and then it's expensive. So Express was created to get the people that don't have marketing degrees or experience with even computers per se, It's kind of the best mix of being able to utilize an app that is meant for marketing materials and almost paint. Uh, you know, the old school app, and that's kind of dead now. I don't guess anybody plays with it anymore. Uh, so that being said, here we are on my screen. This is the Express login. So you'll go here. You can read all about Express. You can see what it does. And then just like Canva, there is a paid and a non-paid version. Um, so that being said, we're going to be in the paid version. However, this is a new Express account that's actually specific to this Abingdon property. So uh, if we're both playing in Express together, we'll see the exact same thing. Um, so we're just going to open up Adobe Express. So you can see once we're in here uh, that it looks a lot like Canva. It's got a lot of preset designs, and basically, of course, it's going to tell you what you have and don't have. And you can immediately pick the first thing. If you log into this and you say, okay, I need to post something out to Facebook, it's going to be right there. You're maybe a small business and you say, okay, I don't have a logo that's worth anything. I need to work on a logo. You're going to have that here. And these are all formatted for different things. And there's so many of them. You can also do a custom size. If you're working on something, maybe you're going to put out to a print agency, or a sign agency. They may ask for a certain format or a certain size. So before we really get into this, Sandy shared with me a lot of the information on some of the people that are, on the webinar today. And one of the things that kept coming up in what you want to learn is kind of expanding your marketing. And that's one of the things I want to touch on today. Of course, I am going to show you how to use this software. But first, talking about what we need to use the software for. So real quick here, I'm going to go over and open up a page, one of the pages that I run. You all might be familiar with it. This is the property here in Abingdon. So this is not a high traffic Facebook. Hospitality, typically, we're overran by OTAs and third party. You don't go to Facebook to see a hotel. You're going to go to TripAdvisor. You're going to go directly to their website. So these are kind of overlooked. But, in good faith, we do have them. So I'm just going to scroll down through here a couple of posts, and we're just going to look at what we have and don't have. So the first thing is, your brand or your business. First of all, you need to identify how much you want to post, how much you want to be active. So I do Facebook. I don't do Instagrams for adding. And I hate Instagram. I'm not a photographer. I don't take pictures. I don't take selfies. So Instagram's really, really annoying for me. But, as a small business, having lots of avenues, especially free avenues, are, that's a huge thing. So if you want to have a role in all of those platforms, and people are getting creative now, TikTok, YouTube channels, having content for all of those platforms is a really big step up for you as a small business, or even a large business. So when you take a look at that, and I'll show you back when we go into Express, there are ways to format whatever you're creating for any of those platforms. But first of all, looking at the content, and I call it contents. So looking at the content of what you're actually posting, how is it relevant to you? How is it relevant to your business? How is it relevant to your customers? So our client base here in Abingdon, You know, I've identified two separate client bases. One is corporate travel, and corporate travel is not going to be on your Facebook. Tourism travel or transient travel, they're going to be on our Facebook. So I want to post, I want to make content that's relevant to them. Um, so if you run, you know, even a manufacturing plant, so you don't have a retail front, that's incredibly understandable. However, you still want to be on social media. What your posts may look like are employee engagement. Maybe you want to showcase what work life is like in your manufacturing plant. Um, you know, when you have all of these things, when you sneak in a post that says, "Hey, we're hiring. We really need bodies. You know, we've got all these positions open," or "Hey, we're coming out with a new product," or "Hey, we're having a sale," or something like that. If you have an engaged social media where people are scrolling through their Facebook or their Instagram, um, you know, and they see things from you that they don't mind to scroll by or even stop and read, they're going to see those key posts, the things you really want them to see. For example, you know, the first thing we come to here on this wall is obviously a plug for our property. Scrolling down, uh, you know, one of the things that we do or I do is I identify the elements of the business. So obviously, tourism is one of the big ones. So Holston Mountain Artisans. And there are tons of things. I just pulled this up. I'm going to plug a job at managing all this stuff. So you honestly just put a post out. I say, well, a lot of people travel here for the barter. A lot of people travel for the trail, that booking. You know, these are things that are maybe completely irrelevant, but at the same time, they are good content that look good, add to your page. And again, when people see stuff like that, it's engaging. You know, for example, sharing this the Southern Living. This was something that, you know, was a huge win for Abby. We're all really really proud of it. Versus, you know, a post where working on the go. As you can see, this got absolutely no traffic, no likes, no comments. Versus sharing Southern Living, you know, people are proud of this. It's local, people can relate to it. And, you know, it did get a little bit of traffic, got a little bit of likes, a couple of heart reactions. So, this is something that's really important to think about when you're making your content. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into Express. I'm going to show you a couple of the basic features on how to make just a standard design. So since we can't chat with each other, um, I would have loved to. I did send out an email. I didn't get much response, but so we're just going to make a flyer about today's event. So the new knowledge. Uh, so when you come into the landing page here, you're you're going to see quick actions that you can do. These are all super cool things. The remove background from your photos, and you can use that for your own personal enjoyment, or you know, you can use that in your content. Um, Templates, highlights that are relevant to where you're at in the year. You know, Mother's Day is around the corner. May Day. You know, stuff like that that was past, or this was probably for Easter. So you do have a lot of things that are here off the top of your head that you can just go to. But we're going to go into projects. I have no projects because this is a new version of this. And say we want to do let's make a flyer. You'll have to bear with my computer. It's really slow today. So immediately, as soon as you get into flyers, it doesn't prompt you to do anything, but it does bring up a huge list of pre-made flyers, 4,675 flyer templates. Now, you can obviously search, you can narrow them down really, really quickly. But there's a ton of really good stuff in here that, so real quick, we're just going to find a template that we like. Find one with stuff in it. Okay, kind of retro. So this has absolutely no correlation with what we're doing today at all. It's just a random flyer. Again, you can get, really specific. This would be for maybe like a party, spas, and you can type in maybe your industry. If you're a chef, let's pull up something with food in it. So you're going to find all templates that are specific to the keyword food. And again, this is, really, really similar crossover with Canva, but it makes it easy and intuitive for you to just, instead of mindlessly searching through hours, you know, able to find something easily. So we've got this pulled up here. Had that pulled up there. Okay. So looking around, when you pull up a template, everything in this is 100% editable. Okay. So the first thing you're going to have is this really convenient stack right here. So it shows every element that's in this design, and it shows you the layer in which it is. So this is the one on top. This is the one on the bottom. So first of all, we're going to just edit this to show the information that we want. Now this is one leg up that I really enjoy over Canva. So when we're in there, basically when you click on a piece of text, you're going to be editing the actual text. Versus Express, you have a text box over here. So you always know exactly, say you misspell something, exactly where you're clicking. I really do enjoy that. So we're just going to quickly say new knowledge. Go ahead and blow that up. Okay. And we'll change. See, everything in this is completely edited. We'll call it just webinar. Say that to Express. Type. All right. And these designs, the templates, they're really, really intuitive. So you can go down here and see, okay, so this is information you might want to edit. So February 12th, 7:30, that's obviously not the time. So instead of this being one solid line of text where you'd have to go in and exactly pick out something, you can see even the time is its own box. So we're just going to put the time in. I'm sorry, my computer's shut down. Let's try waiting. That's a little embarrassing. Okay. So let's
Seth,
relaunch
it's
that
not
there.
just you. I think it happens to all of us today.
Yeah, that's kind of rough, isn't it? I feel really embarrassed that you guys can see my desktop because it's super unorganized. Okay, let's go back. Maybe it saved it. Yeah, I did. All right. First hidden feature we're going to talk about is autosave. Uh, super useful. Hopefully this works a lot better. Okay, so obviously we're back running here. Um, wow, this literally may not be working. Maybe it doesn't like me touching the time. Ooh, it's not a good look for Adobe Express.
As I said, it happens to all of us and to all of our computers too.
Okay, let's go this route.
Seth, while that's loading, um, is there any, I guess, best practices or lessons you've learned the hard way in using this?
Um, well, obviously the hardest lesson is it's technology. So if you're good at marketing and that's what you do, you're probably not that good at IT. Uh, so uh, we are back in we are back here, and we're using this in a browser instead of the standalone app. Um, that may just be I'm not sure what's going on there. But here we have that pulled up. We don't have our text in there. Um, and to answer your question, uh, learning the hardest way, um, just because it's a good question. Uh, I'd say the best answer would be as you move forward with content, make sure to build your own media. Meaning, in 3 years, 4 years down the road, it's super helpful to not be reliant on stock images, using somebody else's photos, having a large library of your own content that you're not going to have to worry about copyrights or crossovers. I think that's super important. Um, but back to playing around in here, um, you know, editing everything in here. Uh, Say you don't like some elements of this design, uh, like this head, kind of irrelevant. You can just delete that out. Okay, so since we did that, let's put something else in here. And I'm just trying to show you some cool features because I feel like we lost some time there. Let's put a photo in there. We'll put a photo of myself in there. So this is one of the things I do like about Express is uh, the photo editing. So obviously Adobe is really powerful with Photoshop, Lightroom. However, as we mentioned before, Express has a few elements from a lot of these key apps. So looking at this overall design, you can tell that this picture obviously doesn't belong here. It's very, very odd looking. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the background. The thing that I like about this over Canva is the fact that it is really, really powerful for actual photos. When you have clip art or you're taking logos and trying to remove backgrounds, maybe just taking the lights out of an image, um, it's really, really finicky. And I would really give Canva the edge there. However, with photos, I feel like this does a great job. So moving that, now we have a free static image that doesn't have a bulky background to it. So we'll accept that. And since it's posted like this, I was going to change a lot more in here, but just for time's sake, let's go ahead and flip that. And we'll stick this guy down here. So still looking at where we were at, this doesn't match anything at all. So let's take this. We can go down here. This is one of the really nice features here. So when you're on an element, whether it be this bubble, this little set of bubbles, a picture, everything on the right, you're not going to have to dig through different features, different effects, different filters. When you're in a text, obviously you pick this. You're not going to have to go to text effects. You're not going to have to open a separate dialog menu. Everything you can possibly do to this text is right here on your right. And it does get pretty deep. There's definitely a lot for you to play around with. So we're going to make him a little bigger. And let's go ahead and enhance this a little bit. Saturation and take a little bit of the highlights out of it. About there. And then just to go with the overall theme of what we're doing, let's go ahead and throw a filter on it. You can do all kinds of presets here. But if you really want to be true to the theme, it's always going to recommend a current palette to what you're working with. So let's try that pink. Go with that purple. Okay, that didn't work out. Let's try the purple and the pink. There we go. Darken that up. Okay, so here we have a purple man. However, it does go with the theme, and that's really important to know. That can't be called. That's all kind of your own preference. I'll typically follow the rule of KISS. When I say KISS, talk very, very early on, keep it simple, stupid. Which is a great approach to life, by the way. The more intense you try to make these, typically the more errors you're going to make. So now we do have problems with overlapping. So this is where this comes in real handy, just being available to you. So you can see I've now blocked out my text. So I need to move this behind the text. So the text is in front, but this little box that kind of helped us pick out the text is still there. So we're going to move behind the box. Okay. And again, everything is very, very editable. So we're going to pick, this, for example. Let's go ahead and actually, let's do this. So say this was not the direction you wanted to go at all. You're not limited to one thing. So let's pick this one. So now you've changed absolutely everything. So now looking at this little web that's in the back, it doesn't go with the background now. So let's go ahead and change that up. And everything is free to edit. And this, obviously we slapped this together in about 5 minutes, and there's a lot of design functions. But real quick, I'll just go over, everything that's here available to you, and then we're gonna kind of move on and talk a little bit more about why Adobe. Again, if today's not been a super great example for you with me having to reboot several times, I'm still not in the app. I'm using this online. Um, but the first thing we're going to go is Discover. So Discover is just a giant pool of ideas. It's not specific to your design. It's not specific to what you're doing. It does have a search bar though. So again, we're going to go back up here and search food. So when we do that, you're going to get templates, you're going to get texts, photos, design assets. Design assets are really just kind of clip arts. Uh, Black backgrounds, it's going to give you everything that you can just drag and drop. And they're really, really intuitive about where they do it. So anytime you replace a background, it's automatically going to know to go back in and edit just the background. Okay. The second one is templates, which is what we worked with here. So anytime we do, so basically when you can't change the template once you've started, you can add as a new page and keep working from there. But that's not something you can do post-production. You need to pick one and stick with it, but you can change the elements of it. Text, it's going to give you a lot of cool fonts that are already kind of pre-made. This isn't traditional text where you pick a font and make a text box. These are more visual texts. They're typically already laid out. Some of them feature, some clip art or some design assets in them that are, you usually have to do a little bit of work to get to this. And they're already made for you, and that's completely editable. So when you put this into a design, treat yourself. You can edit everything about this. So you can change the treat yourself and put in birthday. Okay. And it's going to already keep that font. It's going to keep it formatted for you. You can do whatever you'd like to do with that. Photos are just that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about, especially the text and the photos here in just a second. There is a lot of photos. So you're actually using an individual app that they built into Express called Adobe Stock. Adobe Stock typically costs, it's a standalone app, and they have, it's basically royalty-free images. That's what you're paying for. And, like I said earlier, one of the things that was really, really important to me is building up content. So, I pull, being in the hospitality industry, I pull lots and lots of shots of the creeper around Abingdon. As much of that media that's centered around the focal points of your business, you're going to be able to pull from that, just keeping a large library of it. But until then, Adobe Stock, and there's a ton of different things we can talk about, Canva versus this. We can talk about Illustrator. There's a ton of different apps we can talk about used for marketing, but Adobe Stock is probably the absolute premier place to get stock images. I would argue. And one of the things that I thought was really, really cool is you do get probably about 25% of stock with the free version of Express. However, once you do the paid version of Express, you are going to unlock all of Adobe Stock. It just comes with it. So shapes, this is going to be all clip art. These things are all editable. They're all pliable. You can elongate them. You can shape them on an X and Y axis. And then, of course, you can change all the colors and elements. Design assets. This is a really cool thing that um, that Canva doesn't do. So once you search something, it's going to automatically break it down into groups. So whether you want real life pictures, that's going to be in graphic groups. If you want art or illustrations, it's obviously going to be there. It's just a ton of different tools for different effects or different vibes of a piece of content you're making. Backgrounds is really self-explanatory. It's going to change the entire background. And again, we talked about it earlier. They are intuitive. So when you put a background in there, it automatically knows that it's going to be a background. So obviously that's real easy. Logos. So logos is typically something you build with your brand. Obviously, I don't have this set up. When you have your logo built, you can drop these in there, and they're just going to be basically pre-saved pieces of clip art that anytime you make a piece of content, whether it be social media or whatever, you can drop your brand in there. And then libraries. That's the last thing. So libraries, where this is a fresh app, I don't have any libraries, but libraries are what can be shared with your team. So if I have a copy of Express and Sandy has a copy of Express, if I share my library with her, basically the library becomes a cloud between the two of us. I can have a million projects and she won't be able to see any of them unless I put them in the library, and I won't be able to see any of her content unless she shares that in the library. So that's more of a synergistic feature, especially if you have maybe you as a business owner, if you have someone that's handling your marketing or your content, it's really, really easy to share that back and forth. I know with a couple of pages I run, I'm not the only person who posts content. So instead of saying, someone texting me and saying, hey, I need this graphic for this event. I know you're the person with all the stuff, with all the designs. Can you make this for me and send it over, which is what I did for a long time. Now I can share that library with them and I can say, hey, go ahead and create the flyer or whatever you want to create. And here's all the branding, and here's all the elements that we use to associate our company or organization with the content. So now that we have this complete monstrosity of a post here, I wanted to make something a little nicer with you, but time allotting didn't happen. But the one of the cool features here is so obviously this is one page. I can add pages here just to make more. So let's go ahead and add a page. Oh, sorry, we're not going to do that. I'm going to duplicate the page. This is a feature that Canva might allow now. I don't know that it does. I don't think you can put them in the same project. I think it opens a separate project. So this is our content. This is the piece of media. This is the flyer. This is what we want to put on Facebook, Instagram. But right now we have this in a flyer format. So it's going to be printable. It's going to look good, when you print it out or if you send it to a print shop. But now we want to do the same thing, but we want to make it for Facebook. So what we're going to do here now is go to this resize, and automatically it's going to try to give you letters and posters because you were originally working on a flyer, and it recognizes that. However, once you go down to the social media, it's going to have Facebook, it's going to have event covers, YouTube art, and the cool thing here about Express is it goes deep. It goes to Indeed, Eventbrite, if you're selling tickets to an event, Twitter, even Etsy, if you run an online store. It really recognizes a lot of the different things. And plus, you can still search. So there is a ton of different automatically sized for you, um, features that you can format this event into. So real quick, I'm just going to turn it into an Instagram post. So you can see this is automatically formatted. So it will not change where your content is laid out. So what you may have to do is go ahead and size that up the way you want to make sure all of your corners and stuff are covered. So it won't change that, but you can keep all of this in. So, if this was a February 12th event, we might call this file February 12th event, art exhibition special event. And what that will do is whenever we need that media, you can put that in the library. So if you have somebody that's putting out to your Instagram, posting out to your Facebook, that entire file's in there, and they can just go in and choose the format that's already been created and go ahead and post that. So that's a super, super cool feature. While we're here, instead of running out to some tabs, I want to show you the last thing, and I hope I can do it from here, is the little calendar up top. Now, this is a completely different, I use different apps. If you look through, our Facebook, any of my company's social media, it's all going to be posted through TMZ. I use one viewer to post everything. So instead of having to get in every social media every day, I spend 2 to 3 hours on a Monday, and I basically plan out everything that our social media is going to post. That way I'm not constantly having to think about what I'm going to post. So this here is a scheduler, and this is new. It posts things for you. So once you make that piece of content or that media that you want to share, and you're going to see up here the channels. So right now it's got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. Again, it's really new. So it's not going to have all the channels. I'm still sure they're working on YouTube, Twitch, stuff like that. Some of the deeper places of media, I suspect they will be in here soon. But instead of using a separate platform, what you can do is you can add this media. Since we were working on that project, it's already in there. We can change the publish date. So we want this to post on Friday at, we're going to call it 2 p.m. And then we're not even going to add a caption. So One Way Ministries. So actually our church is the one that I randomly picked to connect to. So we're going to go ahead and schedule that. So now you can see a calendar, a live calendar, and it's got all of your platforms here. So you can see that on Friday the 21st, this is supposed to post at 2 p.m. I have nothing scheduled to post on Twitter, nothing to schedule to post on Instagram. And you can just copy and paste these all the way down through here to post at the same time on all your platforms. And then you can go a step further, post them. You can go in and say, oh, I didn't add a caption. Just click back in and say, save posts. So that's actually going to post the content. And then you can, of course, add links. You can post links into your, here in your caption. So if I have a link that I want to put to the event, I just copy and paste the link here, and it's going to post it all for me. So it's a click and forget feature. This is one of the huge things. It involves you not having to get in bed with one viewer or any of the OTA companies. Some of them charge quite a bit of money too to subscribe to, that posts all this event for you. So it's a one-stop shop for you. Just to kind of go over real quick, some of the reasons that I do really, really love Express, and this is all Express specific. So first of all, Adobe fonts. Again, we talked about how it has specific fonts that are going to be shown in a certain way. For example, this bungee here. When you look at this, that's a font. Obviously, the colors are editable, but they have already pre-assigned. They've already done shading. They've added like a background effect to it. So it's not just a plain font. It's fonts that have been, uh, they've already been edited. So it's cool. And then there are classification and properties over here. So instead of, and this is something where it's kind of like a Netflix effect. You can scroll for hours trying to find the right font. You can filter to exactly what you want to find over here. Again, we touched on Adobe Stock. So Adobe Stock is over 160 million images. It's really, really intense. And that includes templates, illustration, music, and audio. That's a huge thing, especially when you're looking for royalty-free music. You don't have to go to a third party. It's all here. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is the community for Adobe Express. It's really, really deep. So you can see here 108,831 members, and then it's actually admin by Adobe Live. So anytime you post in here, if you have a question, this lady posted 3 hours ago, she's already got 9 comments. This is a really, really fast way to get information, and plus people are going to put their personal input. And then you can go in here for inspiration and see tons of designs that people have made in Express. So this is kind of the last part of it. Pricing for Adobe Express is absolutely free. You don't get some of the features I talked about, but you do get all the workability inside the app. However, some of the stock images, some of the fonts you're not going to get. You are still going to get the scheduler. So if that was a big deal to you, that's part of the free app. The premium app is $9.99. Again, it's a lot like Canva. It's just going to unlock the rest of Adobe Stock, the rest of Adobe fonts, and it's going to give you a few more design elements. And then, since we're there, the last thing we're going to go look at is the Creative Cloud. So Express and Creative Cloud are, it's kind of hierarchical. You could say Creative Cloud owns Express, but Express is not, I guess, in the Creative Cloud. Wow, nothing works today. There we go. So these are what's included in Express, because all I don't have my Creative Cloud account signed in right now. So all you have are all of these. Some of them I don't use. I use Premiere Rush. I've used that several times. But this all comes with the Express. So these are all the apps you're going to get. Now, Creative Cloud's a little different. So when you subscribe to Creative Cloud, you're going to get Express and all that includes, and that is the premium version of Express. The Creative Cloud, you're going to be using your standalone applications, Photoshop, Illustrator. For my daily job, I use Illustrator, Photoshop, and then ID. So ID is basically InDesign. That's what, dictates your layout. Illustrator is where I use the graphics, and then Photoshop is where I use a lot of the photos that I use for the graphics. So that was kind of what I was talking about earlier, is instead of using this app for one element, this app for another element, then you throw them all together in the third app. Express is kind of the highlights of a lot of these apps that work together. I'm certainly sorry that having some technical issues today and couldn't show you a little bit more and make a better piece of content to play around with. That was a little rough and certainly not a good look. But I am on some troubled internet today. That's for sure. So I'm sorry I ran a little long. Don't have much time, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those to the best of my ability.
Seth, thanks so much. And again, I feel your pain on the internet issues, but just a couple questions. And folks, if you have a question, please let us know. One, can you develop QR codes in Express? I know that's a big thing now that people are using and including a lot, not only on their copy, but also on videos. Just curious about that.
So, real quick, if I can get back here, yes, you can. Oh, last thing, guidance and tutorials. Sorry, this is about a 500-page book. If you ever, if you're in here, and it's of course in the free version, but yes, um, there's a ton of little snippets there that you can use, but you can create those codes.
Great. And have you used it at all to edit video, as a small business, especially if you're posting to Instagram or to YouTube videos, or even on Facebook, having, videos of products being delivered or whatever, and you want to make some edits to it? Is that pretty robust?
It is. So one of the best one of the best ways to do that is and I'm sorry, I should have backed out here for you.
There it is. I see it now.
Yeah, sorry, I should have just took you to that. So yeah, this is the QR code generator. It's right there in the quick actions. But if I go back to the quick actions, so you're actually going to have all your video functionality right there. And again, a lot of that is taken from a different Adobe software. So one of the things that that Canva doesn't do as well is the video trim. So the trim video, and I don't have a video to throw in here to show you right off the top of my head, but the trim video, you can actually type out down to the hundredth space, decimal hundredth space in a film. So you can get the exact snip that you want. I thought that was really, really cool. But yeah, you can resize, trim, you can merge videos. It's got a ton of different filters for video transitions. Obviously change your speed. And then you can convert, if you have a video and you just want the audio, you can convert that to an MP4 file. So a ton of different functionalities, and they're all right here. This is the landing page. Here's the project we worked on.
That's great.
But they're all right here.
Actually, in some ways, for someone that uses Canva a whole lot, there's some added features that maybe I've not used in Canva that are kind of impressive. I liked how fast that you removed the background in your photo, because that's something I always struggle with, is removing the backgrounds.
Right, and the background remover, again, I don't think, well, I know I don't have one immediately, but clip art, I do know that there's a handful of times where I've needed to put a piece of clip art into Adobe. And if it did have a background, especially if it's white, it doesn't get the nooks and crannies. It's pretty rough for that. But when you're putting just a photo, whether it's a selfie or a headshot, this is a fantastic app for developing headshots. If you put them in your signature or whatever, it does do really, really well with actual photos. But Canva by far has the edge for clip art, but doesn't do as well with real photos. So, and that's not a paid feature. I think in Canva it is a paid feature. I could be wrong about that. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the background removal tool is a paid feature in Canva, and then it's free here. But if you have both, there is a beautiful world that exists where both of these apps complement each other. I'm not here to dissuade you on one and sell you on another. I use Express, used Express primarily. And again, like I admitted, I started using Canva a lot more because it seems a lot faster um, for me anyway. But I used this one because I was already really familiar with the Adobe suite. And I kind of liked how all the elements work together. And plus, I got the pro version for free because I was already subscribed to Creative Cloud, so that's why I tried it out. But I'd absolutely recommend it to anybody.
Great. And if you missed, we did a Canva workshop on February the 15th. That's kind of a 101. And we're doing another one more advanced on June the 21st. So it's Canva 201, but you're welcome to join us. I want to first thank Seth for your time and sharing your expertise with us this afternoon. I know that it takes time and putting your thoughts and what you want to do for these sessions. So we appreciate it. And we couldn't do this program without folks like yourself, professionals that are sharing their time and expertise with us. Just wanted to bring your attention to our next new knowledge coming up on May the 5th. This will focus on income tax and bookkeeping for small business. And it's kind of timely since our taxes were due yesterday, but it's time to start planning for next year. So take advantage of this opportunity to learn more about what you can do for not only keeping your books, but also for your organization, providing tips on regarding taxes. Also, I wanted to give you a heads up too on a new series we're starting in July for the New Knowledge program. These sessions will run through December, and they will all focus on different tools and services of Google. As a small business and nonprofit, having the ability to utilize effective products that can meet your needs is always a must. And each session will focus on different aspects, and we'll be sending those out once we get everything finalized. But we got 10 sessions planned from July through December, and I hope you can join us. Just want to remind you that today's session is being recorded and will be available on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page, but also on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/new knowledge, and you can find nearly 200 or more workshops that are available on demand at any time. And if you found this session valuable today, share that with someone else that could gain insight on it. And I see a great webinar. I just want to make sure we didn't have any other questions. But again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And again, thanks a lot, Seth, for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good day, everybody. Hope to see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.